Is one of your 2023 goals to build your brand and grow your audience? If that's what you're focusing on this year, you're gonna have to get really good at creating consistent content. Yes, you're gonna have to create content this year. And if you're sitting here shaking your head yes, and you're like, Jen, yes, I know I need to create content, but sometimes I just don't feel confident enough to put myself on camera, or sometimes I don't know what to post, or I don't know how to create videos, or I don't know if I should do YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, and I'm just so overwhelmed with all the options and I just don't even know where to start. If that is you, you're in luck because you're listening to the right person. Last year in 2022, I made my word of the year content. My whole goal was to learn as much as I possibly could about content creation and create as much content as I could in order to grow and build my audience. And that is exactly what I did. And throughout the year, I learned a lot about content creation. I learned a lot about what works, what doesn't work, and I collected a hell of a lot of tools along the way to help me grow my audience. And not only am I now growing 1,000 followers a day, but I also have a couple of reels that have reached over 2.5 million views. So if you want to learn all of my do's and don'ts, or what I like to call my laws of content creation, you're in luck because I have a free guide that I made just for you. It's Jen's 10 Laws of Content Creation, and it's totally free. Just go to 10lawsofcontentcreation.com. I'm also going to put it in the show notes, but the number 10, lawsofcontentcreation.com, and you can get my completely free guide to all of my laws about how to create epic content so that you can build your audience and skyrocket your brand in 2023 and beyond. So go download it. I dare you. The thing that moves the needle the most in my life consistently is always people. It's always relationships. It's always connections. And the only way to meet people and to make those relationships and make those connections is to get in rooms of people that are doing what you want to do, or the type of people that are going to support you and not bring you down. It is unbelievably important. We're not meant to do this alone.
What if today was the day that you dared yourself to do what you've always wanted? Welcome to the I Dare You podcast. I'm your host, Jen Gottlieb, and together we're going to step outside of our comfort zones and into our best lives, one dare at a time. So come on, I dare you to dive right on in.
Welcome back to the I Dare You podcast. It's me, Jen, coming to you again from the closet. I'm still doing this podcast from the closet. The only time that I don't do it in the closet is when I'm interviewing a guest. And we've had 2 guests now on the podcast. If there's anybody that you think I should have on the show, please let me know and I will find them, hunt them down, and get them on the show. But we had Amy Porterfield. She was amazing. We had Lori Harder. She was also amazing. So every once in a while, I'm going to sprinkle in some of my fabulous friends and people that I would like to be friends with, people that I want to learn from, people that have dared themselves to do extraordinary things, and bring them here so you can learn from them. That's like my favorite thing in the world. I remember like the thing that this is what I'm going to talk about today. The thing that changed my life when I was at the lowest low point was listening to podcasts and hearing people share their stories of how they got out of a bad situation, or how they continued to up level, or how they got unstuck. And the cool thing about doing that is you're not, picking out advice from the sky or reading something that you think might work. You're actually hearing from someone that experienced exactly what you're experiencing and how they got out of it. So they're basically like paving the yellow brick road for you and showing you that it can be done, and how it can be done. But I want to go back to me years and years and years ago, walking around the city with ear pods in, just listening to podcast after podcast after podcast, trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do with my life. Once I discovered podcasts, you guys, that is why I do this now, because a podcast that ended up turning into me going to an event is really what kickstarted my life completely transforming. And the reason I do these podcasts now is because I feel like I owe it to the universe, to you, to God, to pay it forward, because podcasts changed my life. Listening to people who were in a situation that was similar to mine and how they got out of it and how they continued to up level really inspired me to just not necessarily believe that I could do it 100%. Like I wasn't like, yeah, okay, that person did it, so I'm all in, I've got this. I was still like maybe a little bit in doubt, a little bit in fear, but it got me to that like 51% of belief that helped me to take that next step outside of my comfort zone, to dare myself to do something that I wouldn't typically do. So let's take you back, like while we're on the topic, to one day while I was walking around the city, rolling around my little rolling bag in like -0 degree weather. It was -0 degrees. That doesn't exist. It felt like very cold. I don't know what the degrees were, but it was very cold. And I spent a lot of time walking from audition to audition with a rolly bag behind me, and then, being a personal trainer in between, and really hustling for a very long time while listening to podcasts. And one day I was listening to a podcast, and it was Lewis House's podcast, School of Greatness. And he said on the podcast, we are going to be doing an event. It's going to be called the Summit of Greatness. We're going to be bringing like-minded people together, and it's going to be in Columbus, Ohio, whatever. I didn't even hear the rest of it. All I heard in my mind was, we're doing an event and there's going to be like-minded people there. And that was when my stomach did a backflip. That was immediately when I thought, oh my God, dare of the day, here we go. Because in my life at that time, I had these friends that I was hanging out with all the time that just didn't feel in alignment anymore. And you know what I mean when I say that. I know you can immediately probably think of a friend or a family member or somebody in your life that after you're done hanging out with them, you just feel like you want to take a shower, or you feel like you can't do what you really want to do, or you can't tell them what you really want to do because they'll find a way to bring you down, or tell you why you can't, or tell you why you shouldn't, or bring out the negative. And I was surrounding myself with a lot of people like that at that time, because I felt like those were the people that I had to stay friends with because I was friends with them for so long. But I was slowly but surely growing out of those relationships the more that I really expanded my mindset and started listening to podcasts and reading books and started getting into personal growth and personal development and trying to better myself. The more that those friends just didn't feel like at the, what I want to say, like, dare I say, at the same level anymore. And when I say at the same level, it's not like at the same level of coolness, or like they were all good people, but at the same level, meaning when it came to the desire to grow and be better. And so they thought I was all crazy. They were not on board with the woo-woo personal development books that I was like so into. And I knew I needed to find friends that got it. And it really clicked when one of my clients, actually, she gave me this print. It was like a print in a frame. It was so pretty. And it said, surround yourself with people who get it. And I was like, man, I really need to find friends who get it. Like, where the hell do I find these friends? And that moment, listening to that podcast and hearing about this event, was like light bulbs, neon signs, like it was like, oh my gosh, here's where I need to go. And immediate, of course, fear started diving right on into my system and screaming at me, telling me, oh, you don't have the money to go to an event. You would have to miss 3 days of work. You'd have to get on an airplane. You'd have to go. And by the way, why would you go to something like that by yourself? You can't go to something like that by yourself. You won't know anybody. What if people think that you're whatever, not cool enough to be there, not good enough to be there? What if these people already have like really successful businesses and you're just getting started, and you'll look stupid? And all of those things, of course, started to flood my brain. But I made it my dare of the day. And at that time I was doing dares of the day. And I was like, this is it. This is what I have to do. I have to sign up for this event. I have to go by myself, and I got to get on an airplane and do what I got to do. I got to put it on a credit card. I don't know. I just have to be there. And so I did it. I purchased a ticket right then and there. I went right to the landing page, standing on the sidewalk, and I pressed buy. And I was like, holy shit. And once I did that, though, once I pressed purchase, it felt like I took over the power of the fear a little bit. I was like, haha, I got you. I'm in control here. I'm driving the car. And it helped me feel a little bit more confident. Then I went from being fearful to being like pretty excited. And I like started packing like a month in advance, like getting my outfits together, and just so excited to go be part of this event. And I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be all in. I joined the Facebook community. I started communicating with people, and I actually started making friends with this one girl. Her name was Tori, and we started making friends online before we went. We're like, we're going to meet up at the event. It's going to be great. I go to this thing all by myself. I walk into the room all by myself. Now, for me, I had never done anything by myself before. I always had a group of friends with me. I never felt like I could go to a restaurant by myself or go to an event by myself. Like, it just didn't feel safe to me. I was very scared, believe it or not. Like, as you listen to me, you're like, no, you weren't, Jen. Oh, yes, I was. Y'all know, if you listen enough, you know I'm an introvert. And so it was very uncomfortable for me to do that. And when I got there, though, I knew that I knew that Tori would be there, and I already connected with her, and I knew that everybody there was excited to meet new people because we were in the Facebook group and everyone was excited. So I go and I just start getting outside my comfort zone, doing exactly what this podcast is all about, right? Daring yourself to get uncomfortable, daring yourself to get outside your comfort zone. And I just sat next to new people, and I decided to do all the things. I did the workouts. I was in every session. I listened to all the speakers. I said hi to people. I introduced myself to people. I went all in. I played big. And every day that I was there, I got a little bit more confident. And I ended up meeting friends there that are still my friends today, that have helped me create opportunities that have completely changed my life. And Tori, by the way, we never ended up really hanging out at the event, but here's the cool thing about going to events or just expanding your circle or just getting into rooms, whether they be virtual or in person, with people that are on the same wavelength as you. When we left the event, we realized we didn't actually meet up and hang out. So we started messaging each other. And we started getting on calls, and then we started getting on weekly calls and held each other accountable. We became accountability buddies for each other, and we started holding each other accountable to our goals every single week. And we slowly but surely both built really successful businesses together, with each of us just being our business bestie. And I have Tori to thank for that, but I really have going to the event, putting myself out there, getting outside my comfort zone, and putting myself in a room or in a virtual room or in an atmosphere with different people that I wasn't able to surround myself with at home. Sometimes you got to get outside your bubble to find those people. And then if we skip to today, that event really was the catalyst to me becoming friends with Lewis, friends with Lori Harder, friends with a lot of these people. I met them through the grapevine of connection after connection after connection of being at this one particular event, which then, of course, snowballed into many other events and masterminds and experiences. Because once I realized how great that was, I was like, wow, let me go drink the Kool-Aid even more. And what I realized throughout all of this was that the thing that moves the needle the most in my life consistently is always people. It's always relationships. It's always connections. And the only way to meet people and to make those relationships and make those connections is to get in rooms of people that are doing what you want to do, or the type of people that are going to support you and not bring you down. It is unbelievably important. We're not meant to do this alone. So I still invest in masterminds and communities and events. And in fact, I have a really cool, really big, biggest announcement ever to make in a second. And I'm going to make it here on the podcast to you guys so you can have that moment that I had walking down the street where I was like, oh shit, I got to do this. I'm going to give you a dare in a second. But I feel like now, because I know the power of being in the room, and now, of course, wait, let me back up a second. So Chris and I, we've hosted events now for the past couple years, and we hosted this one event called Unfair Advantage Live, and it was a $5,000 ticket. So it was for higher level entrepreneurs that wanted to be featured in the media and learn how to pitch themselves to the media. It was an epic event, 3 days in New York City, but it was a high ticket event. 5,000 isn't something that absolutely everybody can afford to come to. And so we've never done an event that was a lower cost ticket for a lot of people. Unfair Advantage Live was for like 125 people max. So it was like a more intimate experience. But here is my announcement. Here we go. So Chris and I decided that we are going to do a big event, like a mega event, a huge event. It's going to be in Dallas, Texas, October 20th, 21st, and 22nd. If you are listening to this in the future, I apologize if you missed it. But I'm sure we'll be doing more of these, and I will announce more events if you're in the future right now. But if you're here right now listening to this, 2023, it's happening. Build your brand live. It's going to be all around building a profitable brand. It's based on being seen, being paid, and being confident. It's 3 days. We're going to be bringing in the most epic speakers and you know them. They're going to be household names, people that have built huge brands, and we're going to be filling the room with over 500 people that are the people that you want to be around. People that are growing, people that are expanding, people that want to build brands that make an impact. And we're going to be teaching you how to take your maybe little following or your little dream and build it into a big, profitable brand that not only makes you money, but makes an impact and helps you live your dream life. That's what we're doing. It's going to be epic. And I highly, highly recommend that you stop what you're doing right now. You go to the link in the show notes and you sign up. You buy that ticket just like I did when I was walking down the street listening to Lewis, thinking, I got to go to an event. I got to be around people who get it. I got to go learn. I got to go expand. I've got to get outside my comfort zone. So this is my dare for you. It's going to be the greatest yes you've ever said. And I can't wait to meet you all there when you say to me, Jen, this was the thing that changed my life. And I'm so grateful that it did. I'm not saying this because this is something that like I think. I'm saying this only, and you all know I only share my truth with you here. I'm never going to tell you what to do unless it's something that I've actually experienced. Going to events will change your life. You are literally one connection away from everything changing, from your one aha moment away, your one moment listening to a speaker and having them say one piece of advice away from your business changing. And you got to be in the room for that to happen. You've got to be in the room for that to happen. So go into the show notes. There's a link there to sign up. I want to see you there. Share this episode with somebody that you think wants to go to an event. Maybe bring your business bestie or your partner or somebody. It's definitely priced in a way that everybody can come. Dallas, Texas is going to be epic in a beautiful, beautiful space. And I can't wait to see you there. So again, just to recap, like this is my truth. Like people ask me what moves the needle the most in my business. And it's still to this day, people and humans and relationships. And the only way to get into the rooms with people that are going to help you expand and grow is to go get in the rooms, is to dare yourself to get outside your damn comfort zone, be a little bit uncomfortable and put yourself somewhere different. It's the fastest, best way to get unstuck. I guarantee you. Go do it now. I love you. I dare you. And I will see you next week on the I Dare You podcast.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the I Dare You podcast. I'm so grateful you chose to spend this time with me, but I'm even more grateful for your future self that you are building one dare at a time. So my first dare for you is to subscribe to the show and then share it with a friend who you think needs to step a little bit more outside their comfort zone and into their best lives. They'll thank you for it. I'll see you next time on the I Dare You podcast.